Hello gang, this is John McCririck and I want to welcome you to episode 2, that's bottle 2, episode 2 of the Ask Big Mac show. Now before I get started, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's the YouTube channel. On my right it says up here, so there it is up there. Okay Booby, let's get on with the show. Now the first question, and please Booby, make sure it's an easy one. I want no trick questions to start with at least. Come on Booby.
First question from Alex Stewart at Attila the Jock from Twitter.
Oh Lord.
He asks, after the reversal of the St Ledger result, will British stewards ever reverse a result again?
Well, very good question, Alex, and I hope they hardly ever do. And remember, the great advantage of the whole thing that this St Ledger disqualification reversal has shown is that the bookmakers will still go on paying out the double result. The actual winner and the promoted horse as well. That's up to around 200 quid for most bookmakers, but at least most punters, if they back the winner, it gets disqualified, they don't lose their money. And then in the old days it was horrendous. You can imagine the bitterness and the arguments and the I'll never go betting again and my horse won and I lost the race and the stewards were all drunk on port and all that kind of thing. It was the real anger and the resentment and the people that we lost to the game because of that. And the bookmakers, all the PR the bookmakers do, this is the single, I think, one of the most important that they do. In other words, they pay punters back disqualified horses. But of course they couldn't go on doing it if they had the American rules and the French rules in that you disqualified virtually at a whim. So quite rightly it's now gone down as a cause célèbre as far as the stewards are concerned. It's very hard to disqualify a horse, and we always say, putting it in simple language, are you certain or virtually certain that the impeded horse would have won but for the hampering and the argy-bargy that went on. Now we've got to absolutely face up to the fact that if bookmakers had to pay out time and again on this and there was many disqualifications as there used to be, of course they couldn't do it. It's because the rules are so tight. I've always personally argued that what we should have is like greyhound racing. First past the post, that's it in greyhound racing. You then have all the arguments afterwards as to whether they can run again and all that kind of thing. Here, the punters just don't care. As long as they get paid, and the majority of cases do. The problem is, of course, on course, that most bookmakers don't pay on course. And we've got the absolute travesty and anomaly that punters who are on course, paid money to go to the races, come racing, we always say, and yet they're not treated the same way as off-course punters. And that is totally, utterly wrong. And the BHA should take action on that, and the racecourses should as well. To avoid aggro on the racecourses, bookmakers should be told, and I hate laying down instructions in a free market society, but bookmakers should be told if they don't pay the off-course terms as far as disqualifications are concerned, you can't bet on the course. So we've got to look after the on-course punters as well, but the St Ledger reversal of the decision, and I didn't think it would happen. In fairness, a really brave decision by the BHA appeals panel in London, really brave to overturn what was a high-profile decision up in Doncaster. And I think the Doncaster stewards and Paul Barton, the steward secretary, got to look to their own positions. In this huge instance, no St Ledger winner had ever been disqualified, and the only other one to be disqualified since 1789 was Zania for Pewit. That was 1789. So they knew what they were doing. They knew the importance of the decision. They're officially judged to have got it wrong. Are they then competent to be stewards again? But the upshot, Alex, is bookmakers now will be able to go on paying both the results. Disqualifications will be rare, and racing's all the better for that. We're not interested in other people's opinions, what might have happened, what could have happened. It's what actually happens on the course, and that will still prevail. So, Alex, yes, it's a great, great, brave decision by the BHA stewards in London, and those stewards up at Doncaster and Paul Barton, the steward secretary, must look to their own positions. Come on, Booby, want another question?
Second question from Neil Smith from Are Newcastle going to be relegated?
God, why do you have to ask me that, Neil? We're ear-old, 6-4 to go down. We played some quite well at times against Chelsea. Do you remember 2-0 up we were against Chelsea? And the unbelievable... You have to look at the time at managers. Now, We had the Pardew out and all that business. We've had about a dozen managers in the last dozen years, whatever it is, absolutely horrendous statistics. So I've not been saying Steve McClaren out. But look at the grotesque decision he took, which in fact I think swung the game. Shortly before half-time, you remember, there was that incident with Jack Colback, who was our sturdiest defender, terrific tackler, great mastermind in the heart of the defence. He was injured, he went down, and we had shots from the dugout of the players getting ready, and it was Obertan. Now, can you imagine Steve McClaren saying, we're losing our best defender through no fault of his and obviously through injury, we're going to bring on the lightweight, non-tackling, useless Obertan. So that was bad enough, but he stayed on until early in the second half when he went down again. And what happens? Obertan comes on. Obviously the person to bring on, all right, we had a 1-0 lead then. So you're not going totally defensive to play to your lead, but you've got the lead. So Mike Williamson should have been brought in to shore up the defence. Bringing on Obertan, who was absolutely useless, was an appalling strategic blunder. And I've no doubt that cost us a point. So we did well to get a point. We just said before the game we'd settle for a point. But where are the results coming from? We got Man City on Saturday, and we've got a terrible record at the Etihad in recent years, absolutely appalling. But you have to think manager decisions do make a difference. When they send on a sub and the sub scores or makes a great play, say, oh, wonderful substitution, well done, the manager. When it is so appalling, so wrong, so incompetent that he brings on Obertan for a defender when Mike Williamson's in the dugout, there is something very wrong. So 6-4 to be relegated, I don't want to think about it. It's just too worrying, it's too stressful. So we've just got to hope, and there is the promise there of a team that's got ability, so we've got to hope. But don't tell me about relegation, I just can't face up to it. And I'm advising you, don't take 6-4 about us going down. We're not a 6-4 chance to go down, are we? Right, next question, Bube.
Third question. Richard Atkinson from Twitter asks, is Matt Chapman your love child?
Oh, dear. Now, well, you can say, I'm a great admirer of Matt Chapman. It's that horrible phrase, he's a Marmite. You like him or you hate him. He's a fantastic professional. He looks after himself, very difficult to work with, not a team player. But my goodness, you watch him and you either argue with him and you hate him, but you learn from him. He's innovative. He's a journalist. He brings out the best and the worst in people. So I'm a terrific Matt Chapman fan. I think ATR use him a lot because he is so good. It's as simple as that. They may not like him, but they realise the talent the man's got, the big meetings over in Ireland or whatever it is. Matt Chapman, he is their go-to guy. So I'm all for Matt Chapman. I love watching him. I think he's innovative. I think he brings something to the screen that very few other people do. But if you like him or you loathe him, Matt Chapman is still, I believe, compulsive viewing on At the Races. Right, thank you all for watching. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and keep sending in your questions on Twitter at Real McCririck and Facebook /Real McCririck by adding hashtag AskBigMac. If I didn't answer your question this week, it might be next week, or the week after, or the week after that, or next year, or next decade, or next century. You never know. Your question might be answered. So get them in now.